Okay, so this is a quick tutorial on how to use the TakeDamage entity. So I have set up a basic area, nothing special, and we're going to have this shield take damage when the player shoots it. So the way we go about doing this is we set up what we want to be damaged, in this case the shield. We are going to make it toggle between two states. And the first thing we need to do, once we've set up what we want damaged, is to go to Functions in the Asset Library, and then go down to TakeDamage and place that in the center of the entity that we're looking to have damaged. There's a few settings here, so we can control the radius. If the item was bigger, we'd need to make it bigger, so on and so forth. But as it happens, 4 just seems to be like a good size for this one. The next is the take damage threshold. So how much damage it has to receive before it can trigger its take damage thing. Its take damage output. In this case, we want it to always do its take damage. So if we put -1, that means always. Next up is how much health it has before it does its death state, if you will. So we'll put, 50 health, why not? 50 is probably fine for what we're doing here. So next is the what we need to do is make the shield itself. So this wall here, if I move the take damage away so we can see, we need to parent this to the take damage. So now that this knows when that shield is shot, that's when it happens. And what we're going to do is have 2 containers, 1, 2, and we'll have the take damage parented to this. So we've got a chain going from the shield to the take damage and take damage to the first container, and this will be turned on. And then we'll have a second shield, which will be its damage state, which will parent to the second container, and this container we will turn off by default. Next, we need to hook up the take damage state on here to the toggle for both containers. What this does is it causes both of them to toggle, so one will turn off, one will turn on in this case. And then we'll have a relay. This relay will have a delay of, let's go for 0.2 seconds. And we'll also trigger that from the take damage. So after 0.2 seconds, we want to turn those shields back on into the original state, so we will toggle them again. So far, so good, but we do need to set up what happens when the shield dies. So for this one, we're going to set up another relay, which we'll put over here. And on this one, we're going to do, again, a 0.2 second delay. And what we could do is on the death state, trigger the toggles again, but trigger this relay instead. So this relay will wait 0.2 seconds, and then it will make sure all shields are turned off by turning off the containers rather than using the toggle. For extra flair, we could add a spark entity, which will be under decorators, one shot, sparks medium one shot. That's the one I want to go for, so I'm going to place that in the center of the shield. I will move it into place in a minute, but first we need to set the take damage to trigger the sparks, and also the death to trigger the sparks. Then we'll move that into the center of the shield. Then we'll move this shield into the exact same place as the main shield. In theory, this should work out of the box now, as it is. And now it's dead. Perfect. So what if I wanted to add more effects to this? Well, you can do whatever you like. You could trigger it through the relays, you can trigger it through the take damage and the death. Perhaps when it dies, you wanted to turn on a red light, for example. So if we were to place a light here, I will color it red. We'll make it a high intensity, like a way too high intensity. But we'll turn it off by default. We could move this death state onto the turn on state there. Hell, we could have a big flash happen as well. So why not set up a light? We'll make this one yellow. Intensity 4, range 10, so it's a massive flash. Oh, I put a W in there. We could put that in front of the shield. Intensity 4 is way too much, 2. There you go. And we'll turn that one off by default. So what we could do is whenever this takes damage, that light gets turned on. And then whenever this relay is triggered, so relay, not the container, we turn it back off. Same again for the death state, turns off. And we could also do things like adding sounds. So if we go to function, scroll down to sound, there it is. We could place a sound in the world. We could go to Windows, assets, assets, audio browser. Effects, we could do, let's do shield down 01, that sound effect. So we could apply that, paste that in, and we could have that also trigger on the death. So now if I test it again, we get a nice yellow flash with it now. I'll pause my music, and then when it dies, I didn't hear that sound. Perhaps its range is too small. Just to be sure, I'll make the range nice and large and the volume loud. That should do just fine. There, I heard it play. And now the red light is left on because the shield is broken. Hopefully that's everything you need to get using the take damage function for yourself. Good luck.